number one thing that you're going to need when you go antelope hunting, and I can't emphasize this enough, this is a matter of life and death, is water. You have to stay hydrated. Gatorade, that puts the electrolytes in you. Remember, when I was in Wyoming there a few days ago, the temperature in the blind was 130 degrees Fahrenheit. If you do not have hydration, you can succumb to death in a heartbeat. And you're not walking out of that prairie. You're 5-10 miles back. And if you get out of that blind and get into that sun, you are probably going to go down with heat stroke. Tip about this water, freeze some of your water. That'll act as your ice. It doesn't have to be cold. It just needs to be water, and lots of it. Fill them coolers up. Freeze some of those bottles. I carry this cooler. This cooler was significant for an entire day. I still had plenty of water left at the end of that day, which is a good thing, because you're only going to know what your water consumption is. Each individual is going to be different. And with this seat, we'll go over it a little bit better. It is a cooler also that you can put more ice in it and more Gatorade, the big bottles of Gatorade. You have to do that. That is a necessity. And don't, by any means, rely on the outfitter to know your consumption of water. That's up to you. People come to me and they say, Mealy, what's a good practice for antelope hunting? What should I be doing? I'll tell you what you should be doing. You should be taking your stool, your portable blind, your water, and any other food sources that you may want, light food sources. Go out and sit outdoors in that blind on the hottest Iowa day and see how you handle it. Forget about your bow. The bow is irrelevant. It's whether you can stay in that blind. I don't care what your name is, or what brand of bow, what team you're on, or any of that bull crap. When you're out there on that desert and in that high plains prairie, it's up to you to survive, number one. You have to endure the comforts. Another nice little thing that you may take with you to help do that is a portable fan. Coleman makes this one. It's a really nice little deal. You got some, if you can move some air on you, that's great. You can stick your finger in there, it's safe. But that'll get you some air on you. It's pretty silent, but that is a must too. Try to put you a little fan, it's battery operated, and if you can get some air moving, wiping yourself down with some liquid and get that air, that's your air conditioner. But don't leave home without it. And I'm sick and tired of seeing guys from the Midwest show up in a complete different environment with no backpacks, no gear, no survival gear, nothing. And they're out so far away from the outfitter, he can't get to you fast enough. So if you're going to practice in Iowa, don't even take your bow. Go out and sit in a hay field, sit there and just see how you can endure 10 or 12 hours in that blind. That way you will know how much water you consume, you'll know your comfort level, and if you have a hard problem with it, make sure you book your antelope hunt later in September when the weather cools off, not right when the highest heat is. Okay, you're going to be hunting out of a blind, so like I said, practice your shooting from sitting down or kneeling down or whatever. You're not going to be standing in the prone position, as I see so many people on Facebook today, standing this valiantly like that's something gallant. You're going to be dog-ass tired trying to hold your head up and hold your bow steady to make that one shot. So practice that. Get out of the air-conditioned archery shop. Get out of the woods of Iowa. Get out in the hayfield. That's what you're going to be hunting in. All right. I went over and make sure you carry two bows. Have them similar. That way you not only got the same equipment, so if one goes south, you don't have a problem. Anybody that goes out west with one bow, in my way of thinking, is nothing but a fool. There's some things to pass the time in the antelope, you all probably got these smartphones, and this is my tablet. You're a lot more, most of you are a lot more up to date on that. You can put it on there. You're not going to get Wi-Fi out in the middle of nowhere, but you may be able to get a book, read a book on it, or read a hardback book in print. Or what I've used in the past, and this may sound stupid, but you got to do everything you can. I set these little cowboys and Indians up in the dirt, sitting in the blind, throw little rocks at them. Gives you something to do. I did it for years when I was a child, playing with Army men. I used to have Army men, and Chuck Kierton out there at Ridgemaster Outfitters, he went and bought me Cowboys and Indians. That was more culture, because that's what's out there. Something to pass the time, but don't get something so involved that when the antelope shows up that you're entranced in reading a book. You still got to be alert, but that'll help pass the time. Okay, the blinds, the fan. Number one, hydration. Okay, here's some specialty items, and this is when you're sitting in that blind for 10 or 12 hours, you're going to have to poop. They got these toiletry bags, or you can use, these are sort of high-tech. I use Menard sacks. These are basically the same thing. You got your two handles. You can take and poop in there. Get you your butt wipe. That'll wipe off all the poop, plus keep you fresh, and you can wash down with it. This is a necessity. You're going to have to poop in that blind after 10 or 12 hours. Naturally, you should have a urinal. That's your toiletry. That'll make the stay even that much better. Light food, not heavy food. Another thing, right off the bat, you're going to be hunting, if you're around irrigation ditches or ponds or water, thermocells are a must. I mean, you don't have to worry about the bug dope. A thermocell will become your best friend out there. That goes a long way. All right, here's an item a lot of people wouldn't think of, a blaze orange. If you want to be found out there, the last thing you want to be is camouflaged. So if you got that little blaze, it doesn't weigh nothing. That way you can put it on your body, you can hang it in a tree for a distress signal, whatever. Something like that. It doesn't take up any room. It's just something to take along. A headlamp, because you're going to hunt till dark. You may have to get out and walk your way back out. So a headlamp is a necessity. Another necessity that I have, and this is really critical. And I'm not making this up, folks. This will save your life. This little pack right here will sustain life for you. It weighs 3 pounds. So if you've got 3 pounds of weight on you right now, go out and walk it off. This little pack has your snake bite medicine in it, your moleskin if you get blisters. It has your medication, and if you're on medication, make sure you take that. It has a spare compass. It has a rain fly in it, matches. 3 pounds, that's all that is. That's not an uncomfortable. And people say, but I'm on a guided hunt. Yeah, I know you're on a guided hunt. And guess what? The guide is a human. And he can roll his ranger over in a coulee and be pinned under it and die. He can have a heart attack. He can have heat stroke. He may not be coming back to get you as you think you have. Be prepared. Be a good Boy Scout. 3 pounds. That's all that's in here. I can sustain life with 3 pounds, and you can too. Make sure you have it, because like I said, you're betting not that the outfitter's going to come back and pick you up. And if something happens to him, nobody knows where you're at. And on that subject, GPS, when you go into that big prairie, you set where you're at. That way you know you can get back there, because you may have to walk 8, 9, 10 miles back to the highway, the ranch house, or whatever on your own in the dark. That way you know you can get back there. Get out there and use these in the hayfields in Iowa so you're conducive. So if you find it, it's not a foreign object. Put down the bow and pick up your survival tools more. Most of you are already proficient about shooting a 20-yard shot. but you're not proficient in survival because you think you're paid for a hunt that you're going to get back alive. Wrong! I've been on too many of them. Learn your survival gear, test your equipment, and if something goes south, you can pick it up and move on. Cell phones, smartphones, if you get up high enough out west, chances are you can get a signal. But if you've got a broke leg and you're down at Coulee, these are useless. Unless they got GPS, maybe they could find you. But make sure you have that GPS or you set your compass and you're familiar to navigate on your own in the dark or in the daylight, as far as that goes. Because if you get lost out there in that big prairie, you can walk for days on end and never go nowhere. I cannot emphasize this enough, and I see so many people that show up in camp that have to be miserable. Left hand, right hand. The outfitter doesn't really know unless you've corresponded with him. This little spade comes from Army surplus. I've had this for 25 years. I've used it extensively in the prairies of Wyoming. What do you need a spade for, Mealy? Well, if you put this cooler out and it's sitting cockeyed, you're going to have to sit cockeyed all day. Ain't going to work. You take this spade, you dig it out, you level up your stool, and don't take a chair. An aluminum chair or one of these chairs where your ass is lower than your knees is worthless. With this little spade, I can dig down and get my knees, my feet right where I want them. I can make an excavation, sit in there, I can take the dirt, pack it around my seat so it's tight, it don't move, I can level up the blind, I can do numerous things with this. Chop off a rattlesnake's head with it if I had to. This spade is invaluable, and nobody from the Midwest and nobody on these smiley teeth, goatee wearing, bleached blondes are talking about any of this. But I care about you because I don't want to read about it because you went there unprepared. This spade, I don't know how many, things you can do with it, but don't leave home without it. Another thing, you might want to take an extra seat cushion. That could give you, on your posterior, that's got a cushion. That makes it a little more softer because you're going to be sitting there. You may sit there 10, 12 hours and never draw your bow. So for you guys that shooting is a must, get that through your brain. You may be an Olympic shooter. That's irrelevant. You're in a blind. You're a predator at a water hole, waiting your quarry out. They may not show up that day. So be as comfortable as you can. Okay, that little blind. Here's another nice little thing that you may need. It's this little piece of carpet. I'll strip completely down to my underwear, and that is formal wear in a blind when it's 130 degrees. And if you've got your underwear on, keep this in mind. Don't wear your bright whitey tighties. If you wear a black pair of underwear, that way if you stand up in front of your blind, you're not flashing white out through that window. So off-colored underwear, not tidy whities. All this stuff, you may be laughing at it, but it all has, not technical, it's just good woodsmanship and using this instead of trying to go buy it off the shelf. Some things you will buy off the shelf, that'll make you comfortable, but try to put you in there as much as you can. Okay, we went over the, like I say, you'll be down in your sock feet with this, and if some of you are scared of rattlesnakes, they make snake repellent that you can circle your blind out around 10 feet around, make a circle, that way that rattlesnake won't get in there. And when you do go to your blind in the morning, rattle that blind. Make a noise outside so that snake can crawl out of there if he's in there. Just don't unzip it. You go, holy shit, there was a rattler curled up. Rattle the blind, shake the blind, and let them know that you're outside with intentions on coming inside, and they'll crawl out wherever they came in. Hopefully it's a different direction than you're coming. All right, with that said, there's a few more specialty clothes items that you need. And right off the bat, most of you probably think of knee pads and Monica Lewinsky from the Clintons era. anyhow, you need these knee pads. If you get cactuses in your knees out there, they're going to be in there for 6 months. They're going to go in there in September and they're going to come out sometime in February after they fester up. Knee pads, down on your knees. Like I said, very seldom are you going to make that shot standing up with this archery pose. That's, I don't know, that's fictitious. Shin guards, that helps keep those out of there. All this stuff is lightweight. It's not cumbersome. And one of the main things you need, especially if you got to finish off an animal, you got to be able to crawl. Welder gloves. They're pliable, thick leather. That way, when you put your hand down on a cactus, you don't come back up, and the antelope jumps up and runs. That's what these are for, if you got to make that final stalk to finish off that animal. So many people go out west today so ill prepared. I can look at them and go, that's a failure in the making. And I don't think it's on their part of being, ignorance of the situation. They've just never been explained thoroughly what's needed. The outfitter is going to give you an area to hunt the animal, a place to stay. But all this specialty gear is your responsibility. And if you don't know what your responsibility is and the rules of engagement, I guess I can't fault you. But after you've watched this video, I hope this really helps you. And do I sound rough and tough about? I want to drive the point home. Another thing, if you're scared of snakes, they make snake-proof boots. These aren't a bad deal, especially if some areas are heavily laden with rattlesnakes. So this will take some fear off of you. And other than that, I basically wear the tennis shoe because if you have to cover a lot of ground, you don't want to have a lot of weight. But carrying the tennis shoe, you will get stickers in your socks and stuff where the rattlesnake boot will alleviate that. Another must, and this is a must, high quality binoculars. Spend your money on equipment, not tattoos. These are 25 years old. No, they're older than 25 years old. They're somewhere. I bought them in 1988 for $2,000. Sounds like a lot of money. I busted them up several times, sent them back to Swarovski's, top of the brand company. They rebuild them, send them back to you. Spend your money on survival equipment if you're going to go out west. You have the same money, just direct it to, like, these Swarovskis were $2,000. They're pushing almost $4 grand now. That sounds like a lot of money to a lot of you young guys, but some of you are walking around with thousands of dollars worth of scribble on you, which will do no good in the high plains prairie or the desert. You know, it just gives something cute for the ants and the vultures to pick over. Clothing. Wool sweater, jacket. Well, immediately it's 130 degrees. Yeah, I know. But that temperature can change around with one storm front, and it can drop. And if you're way out there and you want to stay overnight, you're going to need heavy clothing also. That weather out there changes faster than days on a calendar. This kind of bush type camouflage is really good for stalking. It makes you look like the prairie. Keep in mind, this is prairie ghost. It's not real tree because you're not hunting in a tree, you're hunting on the prairie. The predator desert camel really goes in handy. That breaks up really nice. A rain suit, a high quality rain suit. I bought this back in 1993, paid a lot of money for it, and I'm not emphasizing a lot of money. It's just good quality stuff that lasts a long time on these hunting trips. May become your only vehicle of survival. So don't just be buying the red light special or the blue light special in a discount store. This was a Peter Storm wear. It's lasted me since '93. What can I say? But you only wear these good clothes when you go on these adventures. You can wear ragtag misfit stuff back here in Iowa. If the barbed wire fence tears it up, so what? Your pickup's probably 100 yards away. But keep in mind, when you're going out west, You need everything that I went over. You cannot rely that your outfitter's going. If he's an outfitter, you may check with him. Bring your own target. That way you know you got a target. Shoot some arrows. If you have 3 or 4 guys, you only need 1 target for 3 or 4 guys. But make sure you have one in camp. If you're going out there, you're going to sit in a blind, make sure you take extra camouflage material. Well, why? The outfitter put me in the blind. The outfitter put you in the blind. The sun may be right in your face. You may have to screen that sun out. He's not going to sit in that blind all day long. You are. A piece of this material is your insurance policy that you can block that overbearing sun out behind you or in front of you. It doesn't weigh much. All this stuff I take with me. Another way, a bow holder. If you do not have a bow holder, what's going to happen is you're going to be sitting in that blind, and you're going to take your quiver off, by the way. And when you take that quiver off, have an arrow on the quiver, naturally, and an arrow to where you can get to it real quick for the follow-up shot. Well, right there, you can sit there, locked and loaded, ready to go. Leave this quiver here, take 1 arrow out, get it out of there so it's ready to go at a moment's notice. Keep the broadhead in the quiver, but that way you can just pick it up and go. Quick reload. Don't have it stuck in there because you may need it real quick. I shoot simplicity. I don't know whether that's good or bad, but I don't have a problem with it. I know a lot of guys today, and I know the equipment is, I don't know where they're going with it, but they're going somewhere. A finger tab, 1 pin. Go out there. I'm only going to shoot 25 yards. And if I can shoot it closer, that's even better. Now, I've shot this setup like this that I know if I hold it high on the back of the animal, I can reach out there and touch it at 40. But I'm betting that I'm going to try to get the shot as close as I can. Simplicity, simplicity, simplicity. I have a rest right here. I can pull this rest off. I got a rest and a replacement rest in there. I just take my other replacement rest if something would happen to it. I push that little flipper back on, and I'm not shooting through a piece of paper or worrying about where it went, because I know if I put the same rest back on there, that little rest only cost about 40 bucks. It didn't cost $140 to $200, and you got to spend a half a day to tune it. Simplicity. You throw these on a horseback, you throw them in a Jeep, you throw them in a 4-wheeler. You don't need something that if it gets out of sync, you got to go run into a pro shop. These fingers, I ain't worried about hooking something on. I'm ready to rock and roll. You got to grab this and get it laced on and hook it on and hope the loop don't break off. But that's up to personal preference. If you get proficient with it, fine. But I prefer to stay as simple as I can. No peep sight, aim, lock and load, pow, gone. You're hunting the fastest animal on North America continent, the pronghorn antelope. And while I'm on that subject, I want to make this real clear. And if it pisses you off, so it be. The pronghorn antelope, not a goat, not a speed goat, the pronghorn antelope. When you look in the record book, pronghorn, that's where it's at. Those are the most unique animals, and the only place you will find them is in North America. So don't degrade them by making your smirky little names like it's just a goat. That little pronghorn has more endurance than most of you watching this video. It's a survival. So it'll move around where your holy white-tailed buck won't even get out of bed during the daylight. But that pronghorn buck will get up and walk right out in front of you and intimidate the hell out of you, and you still can't shoot it. So treat it with respect when you're out there. It's not just a target to fling an arrow at. And if you do that, like I said on the onset, that's the fastest way to get a cowboy boot up your ass, the field goal kick back across that Missouri River that I know of. So we treat the land out there with respect and treat the wildlife with respect. Well, I think I went over about everything except for one thing. You're probably pissed off at me by now. And I don't know what to say other than a couple things that are a necessity for your memory bank. You all got them smartphones. I'm not really up to speed on them. Make sure you got a good camera to capture these memories with. You don't have to videotape your hunt, but if you did, you can make a bipod and set it up by the window, but don't get so confused and miss the shot trying to get the video. It takes years of experience to know how you're going to make that happen. I'm getting a little more proficient with it. Cameras are a must. Okay, the last thing that you also need as a responsible hunter, and you can't expect the outfitter to have it, it's a cooler. Now this cooler, going out, you can put goods in it. Coming back, you're going to put this will hold an antelope and a cape. There's not a whole lot of meat on an antelope. So this cooler, this size of cooler, will be efficient. Fortunately, out at west, here's what you want to get. Dry ice. And you put the dry ice on top of the animal. That you want to make sure that you get that dry ice. That'll freeze that meat, freeze it solid. Now, if you go to the butcher shop, he may freeze it for you if you got the time. If not, you can freeze it. Or if you just quartered it out, you can put the quarters in there and leave them unfrozen, dump ice. But dry ice will freeze that rock solid. But a good quality cooler is a must, because you've got to come clear back across Nebraska or whatever state, and you need something to keep the meat fresh, flush your cake. Well, I hope this video helped you. I probably made some of you mad, but that's what learning is all about. And I don't begrudge you not agreeing with everything I say, because that's your opinion. But I know what I've laid out in front of you here is essential. There's no trickery here. The bullshit's out in the pasture. What I'm talking here is the real deal. And after right at 25 years of pursuing the fastest game animal on North American continent, one of the fastest in the world, and enduring 92 hours straight in an antelope blind, I'm talking fact, Jack. This ain't no dynasty television hyped up show. This is the real deal, and it gives you a leg up so that you can get prepared. So with that said, I hope you have a successful antelope pronghorn hunt out in the Great West. I hope you enjoy that. Take plenty of pictures and have fun, but be safe. I'm going to put a wrap on it, and that's it from the non-typical Norwalkian from Ridgemaster Outfitters, Chuck Curitan out of Casper, Wyoming.